first thing you're going to need for this project are some chipboard cut to size. You're going to need one 5.5 by 10 piece of chipboard. You're going to need two 2 by 5.5 pieces of chipboard. And then you'll need another two 2 by 10 pieces of chipboard. The chipboard that I used is a thick chipboard. If you do have a thinner chipboard, you're going to want to cut double and double the pieces up. So you would need two of the 5.5 by 10 and then just glue them together so that you have a really thick, durable piece of chipboard. The chipboard that I'm using is probably about 1/8 of an inch thick. It's the heavy duty chipboard from Cricut. Once you have all of these cut, you're going to want to set them aside. You're also going to need 8.5 by 11 110-pound cardstock. You'll need 3 sheets of this. The first two, you're going to run a strip of heavy-duty tape down the center. Make sure that's burnished on there. And once you take the tape off, you're gonna tape these two pieces together to form one large piece of 110-pound cardstock. From the last sheet of 3.5 by 11 cardstock, you're going to cut 1 by 11 inch strips, and you'll need 3 of them. So the first one you're going to cut in half, so you have two 1 by 5.5 inch pieces of cardstock, and then you'll cut the other 2 strips down to 10 inches in length, so you'll have two 1 by 10 inch strips. Each of these strips you're going to want to score down the center like so. Let's bring our large piece of 110-pound cardstock back. You're also going to need your chipboard pieces. And you're going to set it up like so. Make sure you are leaving just a little bit of space in between each of your strips. I like to measure mine just by putting another strip of the same chipboard that I used in between to create like a shim, pretty much. Now you're going to want to grab your adhesive. I'm using art glitter glue, but you could use whatever adhesive you wanted. And I'm going to put that down so that it's right about centered. Here. Okay. Do the same to all of your other pieces. Now we've come back and we have our chipboard set up on our large sheet of paper that we created. Make sure you're leaving just a little bit of space in between each of the chipboard pieces. I have gone ahead and adhered all 4 of these, and I'll do this one right now. You're going to want a decent amount of adhesive on there. And then when you lay down, make sure you're just leaving a little bit of space right there. I'm going to go through and really burnish everything like so before I start pulling up gently. Now, I'm just going to start making some cut lines.
can start bringing all these sides in. I'm actually going to cut this a little bit off here.
Now, I like to use red line tape for this. It's my go-to adhesive. Now that we have all of our corners, or we can start working on all of our corners. So one side is going to go inside the box, the other side is going to go on the other side of the box. It does not matter which side you decide to go on the inside and the outside, just as long as you make sure it stays consistent for, well, it's just what I like to do. I guess you wouldn't have to, but I pay attention to detail and I would like it to be uniform on all sides. So if this is going on the outside of the box, you're going to want to add tape to this side. And to help me remember, I'm going to do both sides right now. The inside of the box, you're going to want to do these corners right here. Of course, you're going to want to do the same thing to these ends. So these ends are going to go on the outside of the box. Once we have all sides taped, we're going to start undoing. So we're starting to have a box here. What we're gonna do with all our other pieces is they should fit really nicely in there. I'm just gonna cut these off at an angle just so that we have some reinforcement on the sides. Now you could also go, I'm not going to show it in this video, but you could also make some small corner reinforcements. You would just want them 1 by 2 inches, once again scored down the center, and you can do it for all of these as well. I'm just not going to show it in the video. And then you're just gonna cover with your pattern paper. Now, since I'm not actually covering this box, you're gonna have to use your imagination for this part. But the center dowels that I used for this are just 3/16 of an inch dowels that I got from Michaels. The one that I got is 36 inches, so you will have plenty of extra for this project. May I suggest banners? But this, because of my hatred of cutting, I just made a mark where it was supposed to be with my fingernail, and these dowels are thin enough that you can use scissors to cut through them if you do it with a bit of finesse. And then I just simply sanded the one edge, and I painted mine before putting them in place. Now, when you put them in place, you're gonna wanna put maybe a bit of E6000 or some kind of heavy duty adhesive. Like I said, I used E6000 on each of the ends, and then I just kind of pulled my box back and set them into place. Now, what I did was measure using a Memorydex card. So I placed one in there because this is a pretty generous size box. This is your standard Memorydex card. I just kind of popped my Dexy in there and then measured where this was gonna go. I did a couple little marks on there, and then I did the other one as well. Once again, before putting them into place, just add a coat of paint or stain or whatever you're gonna do with it. Maybe if you just wanna leave the bare wood, who knows. But that is how I got my Memorydex cards to lie inside my box. Now, I'm going to leave a link at the end of the video as to the Memorydex box that I created and actually finished. But for now, we're gonna jump over and I will give you a short tutorial on how to do the matching card that I created for the box. So to create the Memorydex card with the mini junk journal, I used just some of the 3x4 cutouts from the collection. You are going to want cardstock that measures 4 inches tall by 12 inches wide, and you're gonna wanna score that at 3, 6, and 9. And then you're just gonna simply accordion fold to create your booklet. For the card itself, I cut this out 3 times just so it has a really nice sturdy base, and I'm gonna adhere all of these cards together. This comes together quite quickly using this booklet, and I also used a small strip of paper to create the closure, as you can see here. So first I glued the closure to the back, and I did do mine at an angle, but that is completely up to you. If you just want to do a closure like this, you're absolutely fine, but I knew that I was going to angle my card on the Memorydex card itself, and then I kind of wanted my closure to loop up a little bit, so I did mine about like this. So before you adhere the book down, you're going to want to adhere your closure to the back. And then I simply attached to the card. I waited to put my closure completely together until I decorated the interior of the booklet. You're going to get a little more volume in the booklet as you decorate. So I wanted to wait and see exactly how much closure I was going to need. I used a simple magnetic closure for it. You could do Velcro, you could do a ton of different closures, however you see fit. But on the inside, I'm not going to decorate it, but I will show you in detail the one that I did. So magnetic closure on my bow, and I just put the magnet in between the bow and the closure. When I decorated the front, I did the magnet under this large cupcake here, and then I just did a floral cluster and some ribbon. Now, if you open up, I just did, and once again, I just used some of the 3x4 cards from the Prima Dolce collection. For this one, I just simply wrapped one of those cards with some lace that I had in my stash. I glued the lace to the rear before I glued the entire card down, so you create like a little pocket. Bonus points if you have a bit of lace or ribbon with a little bit of elastic in it, and that'll help keep your cards nice and tight in there. But the lace works really, really well for this too. So I did a couple of tags in this one. Once again, just a little 3x4 card from the collection. I cut it down to size so that I had a little bit of a border. I did a pocket here, just simply with a ribbon topping for the pocket. That way you couldn't see the actual top of the pocket. And then this one, I created another pocket using the doily. To do this, it looks a lot harder than what it actually is. So as you can see, it's a fully functional pocket. All I did was take one of those cards from the collection. I adhered this entire piece down to the back, as you can see on the back here. And then when I did the doily, I just adhered around this bottom edge, just not getting anything on the card itself. But with all of the adhesive that I had used on the doily over on this side, it's not gonna go any further down like that. That's it. It looks so much harder than what it actually is. I can't wait to see how you do this. And if you're participating in the swap, you will be required to do a little charm for it as well.